Good morning. All right, starting strong. My name is Nate Jones, and I have the honor of being your worship associate this morning. We welcome everyone here and online to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Roanoke, with a special welcome to those who are joining for the first time. For those online, if you would wish to share a joy or concern during the Lifelines portion of the service, please do so in the next 15 minutes. Our minister is the Reverend Walter LaFleur, and today's service is called It's the Egg, and it's excellent. Please take a moment to ensure that your cell phones are silenced. If you'll join me in reciting our words of welcome. Whomever you are, whoever you love, however you express your identity, whatever your situation in life, whatever your experience of the holy, as you come seeking love, your presence is a gift. Whether you are filled with sadness or overcome with joy, needing to be alone with yourself or eager to engage with others, all who welcome all are welcome here. And we're going to take a quick sec and hear from Neenan about the generosity campaign.
I don't know about you, but I am overflowing with joy this morning. It could be a little warmer, but you know. I'm Neenan Hens, and I am here today to talk about Reading Seeds and its greater community outreach as it relates to our generosity campaign for this year's UUCR Drive. So I came to UUCR in the fall of 2018. I had just moved here from Raleigh, North Carolina. I'm head Gigi for my two grandchildren. And the only people I knew here were my family. So one day I walked down the street and walked through those doors and was greeted by Lydia and Rev Alex and just became part of the family very quickly. Because I taught English for over 35 years, it seemed like literacy was a good fit for me. So when I saw the posting for Reading Seeds, I said, yep, I think I'll work with them. So we met, we've had some transition time, but what you need to know is that Reading Seeds is one of the most visible of all of the UUCR outreach programs. Twice a month, we provide brand new books to 2 TAP Head Start programs, and each quarter to 4 of our local elementary schools. Based on national data, we know that it is important to get books into the hands of children before 3rd grade. If we wait any later, we lose them. Each of us on our 6-person team has a specific and vital role. I get the fun job of spending the money. So I get to order books from First Books Marketplace, which is a warehouse company. So if a book retails at $18, for example, Jabari Jumps, which is a very popular book that we give out, we get it for about $6 and a little change. I try to keep our book choices in the $3 to $5 range, but the prices have gone up considerably in the past year, just like everything else. Last week, we received an order for over 600 books that cost us almost $2,600. I will make that same order again towards the end of May or early June, just to give you an idea of what we spend throughout the year. Twice a year, we receive in-kind donations from Star City Reads, which is part of Roanoke City Libraries. Every single book we distribute has the UUCR Reading Seeds label affixed to either the back or the inside cover. So every book that goes out to these children has our name on it. Thankfully, both Heather Mason, who's right there, and Ann Hackworth are master grant writers. Their efforts to secure funding has allowed us to continue to provide books even through the pandemic. The church's M&M Fund is a consistent source of our funding twice a year, along with individual donations from the congregation. Once the books arrive, Judy Robertson and Linda Wallace organize labeling and shelving. Judy then pulls books and takes them to the Head Start programs. Bonnie Evans, right there, makes sure that we also have an outreach with Pack-A-Snack with the local high school and 5th grade and up. Yeah, 5th grade and up. And we've done local community based with New Horizons, with West End. So we have other little outreach programs that we do like in once at a time. Last year we stocked a book machine. It's like a book vending machine for Grandin Court Elementary with, I think, 200 brand new books. I was talking to one of their parents the other day, and they said, oh, that is such a cool idea. So if you'd like to get involved with Reading Seeds, email Ann Hackworth, talk to either Bonnie, Heather, or myself, since we're here today. And anytime you want to just give a little extra donation to us, we are grateful. And remember that none of this would happen for the children in our community without you and without UCR as a group.
And now we will recite our covenant. We commit to supporting each other with respect and direct communication as we work in community to explore spiritual growth and to be a force for the good in the world.
Good morning. Merry Easter to all. Each person is born with an unencumbered spot, free of expectation, free of regret, free of ambition and embarrassment, free of fear and worry, an umbilical spot of grace where we each first touched, where we were each first touched by God. It is this spot of grace that issues peace. Theologians call it soul. Jung calls it the seat of unconsciousness. Hindu masters call it Atma. Buddhists call it Dharma. To know this spot of inwardness is to know who you are, feeling our place in relation to the infinite and inhabiting it. This is a lifelong task, for the nature of becoming is a constant filming over of where we begin, while the nature of being is a constant erosion of what is not essential. Each of us lives in the midst of the ongoing tension. Regardless of subject matter, this is the only thing worth teaching: how to uncover the original center and how to live there once it is restored. Those are words from the Book of Awakening by Mark Nepo. Our chalice lighting words. The coming to consciousness is not a discovery of some new thing. It is a long, painful return to that which has always been.
May the Lord inspire us to use our hearts, to heal and not to harm, to help and not to hinder, to bless and not to curse, to serve you, O Spirit of life.
Good morning. I'm Jessie. I'm the director of Lifespan Faith Development here, and I would like to invite all children and parents and children at heart to come forward, come and gather around this storytelling chair because I have a wonderful story for you this morning. Who knows what day today is? Easter Sunday. It's Easter Sunday. Somebody tell me, did somebody visit anybody's house last night? I didn't get a visitor, but some people, like the Easter Bunny comes. Are you guys familiar with the Easter Bunny? But what does he leave at your house or at other people's houses? Usually eggs. So if we think really hard about that, that gets a little weird, right? Like a bunny leaves eggs. But there's a reason for that. And it's also where the name of Easter comes from. A long time ago, the goddess Ostara, she's from Germany. She was walking around in the winter and it was starting to become spring and she was touching things and, trees were starting to bud. And as she walked through the snow, she saw a little bird. And this bird was so cold. It was shivering. Its wings had frozen and it couldn't fly. And Ostara was very worried about this bird. And she picked the bird up and she blew a little bit of her warm breath on this beautiful bird. And it started to thaw out. Its wings worked again. And she said, "Fly, little bird. Enjoy the spring." But wouldn't you know it, next year around the same time, she was walking that same snowy path and she saw the bird again and she picked him up and she blew her warm breath on that bird. This time the bird said, "Oh, Ostara, I can't stay through the winter anymore. I love this place and I love to be here, but I can't stay. It's too cold. Maybe if you gave me some fur, it would make things easier, like foxes have." She said, "Okay, here's a little fur." She sprinkled a little fur on that bird. And the next year, she came across the bird again, and he was still very, very cold. And she picked him up and warmed him up. And he said, "This winter was much easier, but I think if you gave me longer legs, when my wings get cold, I can still move around because my legs are longer and my body is further from the cold, cold ground." And she said, "Sure." And she made his legs a little bit longer. And she took his little talons off of his toes and turned them into little paws. Now, this animal sounds like it looked a little weird at this point, right? Well, the next year, he was still very cold, but he could move around. And he said, Ostara, maybe if you gave me like another set of paws instead of these wings, I could stay a little warmer." And she said, "Fine, little bird, here you go." And then the next year, she walked through and she saw her little friend, but he didn't know she was coming. And she said, "Oh, goodness," and just gave him some long ears so he could hear her and warmed him up. And wouldn't you know it, she turned that bird into a bunny rabbit. And now, one thing she couldn't change was the fact that this bunny rabbit laid eggs. So that is the origin of our friend the Easter Bunny. And we have to remember it all happened in the spring when things are renewing and we feel that warm breath of Ostara on our face. Did you guys have fun this week when it was warmer? I sure did. So that is the story of not just the Easter Bunny, but why we have Easter eggs. And I have right here for you guys some eggs that you can actually color on with crayons. It'll take crayons. So come grab a cup and let's see what kind of designs you can come up with this morning. And after this, we're going to hunt for cans outside after the service. You guys want one? There's enough for other people who have active hands that would like one, and we can bring one to you if you'd like. Take the whole cup. Yeah.
So today's reading is going to be some audience participation. We're going to read all of this together. Hopefully we get the words up. Now, part of this is bolded, which makes you think that that's only your responsible part, but we're actually going to read the whole thing together. It's called A Litany of Atonement by the Reverend Robert Eller Isaacs. For remaining silent when a single voice would have made a difference, we forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love. For each time that our fears have made us rigid and inaccessible, we forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love. For each time that we have struck out in anger without just cause, we forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love. For each time that our greed has blinded us to the needs of others, we forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love. For the selfishness which sets us apart and alone, we forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love. For falling short of the admonitions of the Spirit, we forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love. For losing sight of our unity, we forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love. For those and for so many acts, both evident and subtle, which have fueled the illusion of separateness, we forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love. Thank you.
Happy Easter. I hope the Easter Bunny came to your house and made you happy this morning. I hope that some of you got dyed eggs and maybe some of those mushy Easter bunnies. And did you have any difficulty having conversations with young ones, trying to explain the meaning of Easter? At least any of you who do not believe in the resurrection? We Unitarians can be quite uncertain about how to deal with this thing called Easter. It's the theology that can leave us feeling a little bit unsteady. The resurrection story can create quite a dilemma for us as we enter into and celebrate the Easter season. The reading today, I'll admit, may exacerbate the issue, but that's not its chosen intent. It was written by the Reverend Robert Eller Isaacs, a UU minister and colleague. It was intended to coincide with the Jewish high holy holidays, during early fall. I chose it as a way to help broaden our theological discussion this morning as we address High Holy Days in the Christian calendar. The connection for me is the mainstay of that atonement reading. We begin again in love. We begin again in love. While we as Unitarian Universalists may struggle with the resurrection as literal or myth, and Jesus as divine by nature, divine by appointment, or a human model of great moral, ethical character, a new season unfolds for us at this time of the year. It's a time of new beginnings, a time of new beginnings, perhaps an awakening and a recommitment to hope. It seems to me any theology worthy of the name has to contain some notion of resurrection, some notion of redemption, some notion of hope. In other words, an opportunity to begin again in love. If not in love, at least in hope. An opportunity to begin again is an essential element when you're dealing with the frailties of humanity. We will always blunder. We'll always fall short of our hopes and aspirations. We will break promises, deceive, and do odious things because it's in our nature to be less than perfect. We will make mistakes. We will fail. We'll fall down. We'll have need to collect ourselves, to regroup, and by grace, to rise again. In the Christian calendar, Easter is more than the Sunday on which the Easter bunny brings decorated eggs in a basket. For solemn, devout Christians, Easter is a season. It begins with Lent. According to the Gospels of Matthew, Mark, and Luke, the 40 days Jesus spent fasting in the desert, meeting temptation after temptation, all before he began his public ministry. Lent includes prayer. It includes fasting, almsgiving, and abstinence. Christians who observe Lent usually give up something for 40 days to represent the 40 days Jesus spent in the wilderness. Lent begins on Ash Wednesday and concludes on Maundy Thursday, the day of the Last Supper. Good Friday, the day of the crucifixion, follows. And 3 days later, Jesus is resurrected on what we now call Easter Sunday. Following Easter Sunday is in the Christian calendar are the 50 days of Easter tide, the seventh Sunday being Pentecost Sunday. Easter and the Easter season is the most important time in the Christian calendar because it represents the essence of Christianity, a theological promise of reunion with being whole, the forgiving of sins, and life ever after. It's the story of a people gaining freedom, and with it, a land of their own, a new beginning for an entire people. Passover one of the most widely observed holidays in Judaism, is a week-long festival in commemoration of the Exodus, when the Jewish people are released from the bonds of slavery by Pharaoh. They were freed to start a new nation under the leadership of Moses. The feast of the Passover Seder begins the holiday. The Seder is a ritual conducted by a community or multiple generations of a family, where the story of liberation from slavery in Egypt is told. It's the story of the book of Exodus in the Hebrew Bible, the community of friends or family, read from the Haggadah, which contains the story of the Exodus, along with blessings, rituals, and Passover songs. The book of Exodus tells the story of when God sent 10 plagues upon the people of Egypt in efforts to get the Pharaoh to release the Israelites from slavery. The 10th plague was to be the death of the Egyptian firstborn. The Israelites were to slaughter a spring lamb and mark their doorposts with its blood. In doing so, it was to identify the homes the Spirit of the Lord would pass over and not take the firstborn from that household. The story also tells of how the Israelites, needing to leave the country quickly after Pharaoh finally agreed to free them, they left in such a hurry they didn't have time to let their bread rise. Hence, unleavened bread is a central aspect of the Passover story, the Passover ritual. And it's why Passover is sometimes referred to as the festival of the unleavened bread. Our third story of new life confirms a conclusion I've recently arrived at. It's an answer to the age-old question of which comes first, the chicken or the egg. In preparation this morning for words, I considered the question deeply, pondered for a while, then concluded it's the egg. It's the egg. While doing some preparatory reading, I discovered that Hindus, the ancient Egyptians, Persians, the Phoenicians, all believed in the world, believed that the world began from an enormous egg. So the association of the egg with fertility and new life has been around for a very long, long time, and it occurs in any number of cultures. So too, apparently, is the custom of decorating eggs. Decorating ostrich eggs have been found in Africa and are said to date back 60,000 years. Silver and gold ostrich eggs have been found in the graves of ancient Sumerians and Egyptians as far back as 5,000 years ago. The custom of decorating Easter eggs appears to have begun in Mesopotamia with the early Christians. They stained eggs red in memory of the blood that was shed at the time of the crucifixion. The church in early 17th century later officially adopted this custom as a symbol of the resurrection. The term Easter may have come from the name of a pagan festival held in the springtime, named after the goddess of Asartor. Linguistically, the name is associated with the coming of spring and of the dawn. It's been argued that the festival has become so entrenched that the Christians chose to simply apply the name of a new rite in remembrance of the resurrection. The rabbit's association with spring and fertility may well date back to the time of Anglo-Saxon pagans. The rapid reproduction cycle of the hare was seen to symbolize fertility and continuous new life. I find it interesting to note that in the Western world, both Passover and Easter come at the same time as the longer and warmer days of spring. After the long, dark days of winter, spring is a welcome form of invigoration. That which appears to be dead begins to show new life. The shortened cycle of light begins to lengthen, and the days grow longer, glorious longer daylight. Animals emerge from the winter homes they greet winter days, seemingly brought north by the migrating birds. I find myself sometimes stopping mid-stride to turn my face toward the sun, to let the warmth soak in after the long days of winter. There are times when I delay getting out of my car just so I can absorb the new yet familiar kinetic force of the sun's rays. Anybody ever? Yeah, I see some head shaking. Special feeling. The renewed intensity of the sun's warmth affects us all. The birds begin to sing again. Daffodils, bluebells, tulips come into bloom, all signaling a soon to flower forsythia shrubs, and which down here are wonderful flowering trees. We didn't have those in New York State. So it's easy to suggest that even Mother Nature has a theology of renewal. Mother Nature has a theology of renewal. Perhaps your theology of renewal and new life coincides with the arrival of spring, longer days, warming air. It seems to me an opportunity for renewal, an option to recreate ourselves, the ability to alter the trajectory of our lives is essential for us, mere human beings. There are so many times in our lives we fall off the rails, take a wrong turn, get mired in false choices. We need opportunities to begin again, perhaps to begin again in love. Regardless of how you define your foundational reference point, whether you believe you have a personal theology or not, it seems essential to me that we all have consciousness of the option for renewal. If we know we have an option for renewal, we don't have to accept, we don't have to live with the feeling of being stuck or out of control. And better yet, if we have developed an awareness of our personal theology, we can fall back on our inner knowing or call on our rituals to help us to refocus our attention, to help pull us back onto the path we have chosen or the path we'd prefer to be on. Whether you're a Muslim, Christian, a Jew, pagan, or belong to another faith tradition, you're benefited by established rituals and ceremonies designed to rekindle your spirit, to provide you an opportunity to reflect upon your life so that you can then make choices about what you pay attention to and how you will behave, how you will react to the realities of life. So, whatever your theology, if it provides an opportunity for renewal, an opportunity to begin anew, then you should nurture it. Explore its parameters. Become facile with its workings. So in times of need, you have ready access to tools and processes that can benefit you in the notion of new life. The opportunity to begin again in love comes in so many forms. Perhaps it's today, on Easter Sunday, the holiest day in the Christian calendar. Perhaps it's today. Or during this time of Passover, as spring unfolds, you will find within yourself a kernel of renewed life, an opportunity to begin again in love. If so, grab it, cherish it, and don't let it go, for you indeed are blessed. Amen, and blessed be. It's time for the offering. A time to be grateful that we've been able to be together and can help fund the work of this church. The offering will now be gratefully received.
I have not known sounding brass, and hope let us give. Though I may give all I possess, and striving so my love profess, but not regret, my love will live. The prophet turns strangely thin. Oh, Spirit God, our hearts control. Spirits God, to be made whole. As in the Lord, I this promise we are
We're glad to be together. It's good that we can be together to make our next steps into our life together. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Linda Wood here this morning to represent the Caring Committee. And one of the things that our committee covenants to do with all of you is to report the lifelines of our community on Sunday mornings, the joys and sorrows and milestones that make places in our hearts and places in our lives. If you have anything that you would like to put out for the entire community to hear about, you can put it in the Lifelines book, which is on the altar in the mornings, or in the alcove by the name tags during the week, or you can call the church office, or you can let one of the members of the Caring Committee know. So into this sacred space, we bring several concerns this morning. Pat Malotte's father, Ken Malotte, died peacefully Friday afternoon at Our Lady of the Valley Rehabilitation Center after a long period of declining health. Visitation is this Tuesday from 6 to 8 at the Vinton Okies, and Pat would welcome condolences by mail rather than phone or text. Her address in the UU directory is correct. The same goes for John Binky. He has moved back home to Vinton, and he would appreciates condolences as well by mail. His address also is correct in the directory. And this one surprised me this morning. Mary and Jimbo Harshfield had a wonderful visit with their son and his family in Cambridge, England. But while there, Mary contracted bacterial pneumonia, and she is in the hospital in Cambridge, England. So hold her close in your thoughts and prayers. So now it's your time, your chance. If you have something in your heart that you would like to light a candle for this morning, something that you don't really want to share with everybody, but it's on your heart, you can come up now and use both sides of the altar. And may the warmth of that candle warm your heart and bring peace to you.
No matter where you go, no matter where you've been, you'll never walk alone. I feel you deep within. I'm sending you, Lord, I am sending you, Lord, no matter what you feel or what you choose to show, I'm always there for you. I want you to know. I'm sending you, Lord. I am sending you, Lord.
Join me in a time of prayer, meditation, and reflection. We gather today in community, a holy gathering, an honored opportunity to celebrate life together as one in spirit. May we each be touched by the spirit of love, and may the spirit of love guide us. Spirit of love, teach us to live together in harmony. Teach us to see the worth in every living soul. Help us to know that we are all one people, even as we travel a separate path in life. God, Spirit of us all, let us be open this day to the message of life-enhancing love. Help us on this day to seek the ever-available option of new life. Let us be open to the ever-availing option of renewal. Let us be grateful for the gift of grace that allows us to ever begin again in love. Amen.
Just a few quick announcements. The Friends of the Evans Spring will be participating in the Daisy Art Parade next Saturday, April 15th. The parade is part of a celebration to advance wellness, justice, and inclusion in our city. And those interested should see Luis Chagnon and Teresa Poole for more information. The Ram House has asked us to reconnect with them as volunteers on a meal production team. This includes preparation and boxing of lunches and light cleaning of the kitchen area. Direct contact with clients is optional but not required. They are asking for 4 to 6 volunteers on the 4th Saturday of each month, beginning April 29th. We need 12 or so volunteers to rotate. If interested, please contact Bill Bespich before he calls you. We are also collecting donations for local environmental agriculture project. LEAP is working to create a centralized food hub in the West End neighborhood that will be the headquarters for LEAP Mobile Market and the new home of the West End Farmers Market and the LEAP Food Hub, as well as the location of a retail store. You can learn more at leaporlocalfood.org, and cash and check donations can be placed in the offering plate still, or you can donate online through UCCR or UUCR Vanco. And if you write a check, please make sure write it out to UUCR with LEAP in the memo line. And if you need assistance with UUCR's Vanco, you can see Heather Mason for help. That's it.
Our closing music today is hymn number 269, and the words are in your order of service. So it's at the end where the announcements are. So if you haven't made your order of service into origami or a plane, it's still there. And it says in place of closing music, which it wasn't supposed to be that literal, but there it is. So we're all going to sing together for the first time in a while. So if you'd like to stand or sit, they're going to stand. And I promise you'll know the tune, or maybe your neighbor will know the tune.
Know the day of days is here. Hallelujah. Festival of hope and cheer. Hallelujah. And the sun praised in your breath. Hallelujah. Nature wakes from sleeping death. Hallelujah. Fields are shining in the sun. Hallelujah. Listen, streamers, seaward run. Hallelujah. Tender wave and big appear. Hallelujah. 'Tis the springtime of the year. Hallelujah. Lonely Easter tidings here. Hallelujah. Music thrills the atmosphere. Hallelujah. Joy you give, oh, all sing. Hallelujah. Love and praise giving. Hallelujah.
Our words of benediction this morning come from Sarah Moores Campbell. Grateful for the darkness that has nourished us, we push away the stone and invite the light to awaken us to the possibilities within us and among us, possibilities for new life in ourselves and in the world. Go into your week in peace.